solving for the x and the y by using the substitution method. So our goal is to find out what x is and what y is, okay? But it has to be the same x for both and the same y for both, okay? So this is what we are going to do. First, let me backtrack for a second. And let's say that I had 2 times x plus 3, and I knew that x was 4. Well, how would you solve this? You would substitute the 4 in for the x. And you would get 11. Okay? We're going to be doing the same thing with these, where we are going to take an entire equation and substitute it in for the variable and solve. So it's the same concept, it's just not one single number, it's an entire equation. But we're still going to be substituting. Okay. So what your goal is you want one of these to be either x equals or y equals. Okay, you need one of them to say that. And luckily for us, they gave us that. They gave us an x equals. So that means in this equation down here, anywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 3/4 y plus 5, because up here, they're telling me that x is 3/4 y plus 5. So down here, where I see that x, I'm going to replace it with 3/4 y plus 5. So let's do that. 8 times 3/4 y plus 5 minus 5y equals 28. So all I did is I replaced my x with this here because x equals this, so I replaced my x with it. So rule number 1, put one of the equations into y equals or x equals form. They already had it for us. Use that equation for the other equation. We did. We used this one and put it into that one. And now we're going to solve this. So since I have parentheses, I'm going to do 8 times 3/4. That's just taking 8 times 3, which is 24, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, so in multiplication of fractions, in case you forgot, so it's the same as doing 8 times 1 times 3 over 4, which is 24 over 4. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, I just did it a little bit faster. But it's 8 over 1, 3 over 4, 8 times 3, 1 times 4, 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay. So I did 8 times 3/4 y and got 6y. 8 times 5 is 40, minus your 5y equals 28. Okay, so we did distribute, which is your multiplying. Combine like terms. 6y minus 5y is y. 1y or y. Plus 40 equals 28. Now I'm going to move the constant to the right side of the equation by doing its inverse operation. So subtract 40, subtract 40. So y equals 28 minus 40 is the same as 28 plus negative 40, which is one of each, so we're going to subtract, and 40 minus 28 is negative 12. So we found out what y is. Now we have to use this y and figure out what x is. Now up here, they said x is this. but this had a variable in it. So now we have to figure out what x is with no variable. I am going to use this equation. You can use either one, but I'm going to use this one because it doesn't have fractions in it. So once you figure out what y is, now we're going to take this negative 12 and put it into this equation where we see the y and solve for x. So that means I have 8x minus 5 times negative 12 equals 28. So right here, my 8x stays the same. I have negative 5 times negative 12 is positive 60. Now I have a two-step equation. Get rid of the 60 first through subtraction. This is 28 minus 60, which is just like this. If I do keep, change, change, it would be 28 plus negative 60, which is subtraction. And I would get, is it 42? No. 60, 28, 32. So I'd get negative 32. Divide both sides by 8. X equals negative 4. So your final answer is negative 4, comma, negative 12. So we found out the ordered pair for both of these equations. So two things. You could graph them, and wherever they meet is your ordered pair. That's another way to think of it, okay? Or what ordered pair makes both of these statements true? Okay, next one. Okay, they gave us a y equals, so that's good. So since this one is y equals 3x minus 4, in this equation, where I see the y, I'm going to replace it with 3x minus 4. So I have 5x minus 2 times 3x minus 4 equals 4. Because they told us what y equals in this one, I'm substituting it into this one where I see the y. Because when you do that, you actually eliminate the y and you're only left with one variable, which makes it easier to solve for that one variable. Okay? You can't solve a problem that has both an x and a y in it. So if you replace one of those variables with a variable that's already being used, so I replaced the y with the 3x and I already had a 3x, then I can combine like terms and solve for x. That's what substitution is. Okay, so I have to do this part first. So the 5x is going to stay. Negative 2 times positive 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Okay, if I combine like terms, 5 minus 6 is negative 1x. Now I'm going to get rid of the 8 on both sides. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. You can't have a negative x, so we're going to divide by negative 1, so x equals 4. Okay, once you figure out what x is, you can use that number and plug it into either equation. I look for the easiest looking equation, and I would say the top one is the easiest. So I have y equals 3, parentheses 4, because I replaced the x, minus 4. So I have y equals 12 minus 4, y equals 8. So your final answer is 4/8. Okay, next one. Unfortunately, we don't have a y equals or an x equals, so I have to change one of these